Yo, come on, Lego, why do you gotta make this video again? You made this exact same thing, talking about this exact same topic, like a few weeks ago, and yes, that is technically true. On March 24th, we made ourselves a video talking about Jack Hughes and this entire Ovechkin McDavid thing because it was a pretty big deal. But we are a few weeks removed from that time frame, and Jack Hughes' season with the New Jersey Devils in 2021-2022 has officially come to an end. And so, with that being established, let's just go out there and put a nail in the coffin, a final, just overarching video chronicling everything, because when it comes to the season that was Jack Hughes' 2021-2022, funny enough, it's actually better today than it was when we made our video back on the 24th. Now, of course, it's unfortunate that he's not going to play anymore this season. The hit that he took against the Islanders from Oliver Wahlstrom, yeah, that sucks. Super unfortunate, you don't want to see that, but with that hit comes the end of his season, and with the end of his season comes the record books being finalized, printed, shoved into an envelope, licked up on the back, and then stamped on. This is all finalized. So, let's go over Jack Hughes and his 20-year-old season here in the NHL as he wraps up what was a 49-game campaign where he accomplished 56 points on the season. He had 26 goals and 30 assists. If you do the math for the entirety of the year, 56 divided by 49 multiplied out by 82 is on pace for 93.714 points, so let's just say 94 points. Do the math for the individual stats, 26 divided by 49, you're gonna probably guess it's somewhere in the 40-ish mark. Yeah, he's on pace for 43.5, so let's round it up to 44 goals, and then if you subtract the goals from the assists, because there's a total of 94 points he would have been on pace for, he is on pace for about 50-ish assists. That is assuming he played a full 82-game season, and that is assuming he produced in the same rate in a full 82-game season as he did in 49. But I think 49 is already a pretty solid amount of games played to sort of get a feel as to how Jack Hughes was playing. Now, I don't need to go out there and start waxing poetic once again as to how he played, because all the previous videos on this channel kinda say the same thing, that Hughes went out there and was dominant this season in a way that he wasn't dominant before. He almost looked like the NTDP Hughes going out there, controlling play, sniping goals, dictating overall games with his speed, and just making something happen every time he touched the puck in the offensive zone. Whether or not he would score a point or not, there was always something going on, and it's that game-breaking quality that only so few players in the league have. You want to talk about Connor McDavid, you want to talk about Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, Alex Newhook, 3 of those guys happen to be on the Avalanche. These players make things happen with their speed, elusiveness, and shiftiness, and Jack Hughes came into his own this season, cementing himself, in my opinion at least, amongst that group of players who are capable of doing that. Ah, come on, Lego, you're just repeating yourself from the video you made a few weeks ago. Yeah, I know, but come on. The video we made back on March 24th had a different point-per-game mark. When we made that previous video, he was at 50 points in 44 games played. He has played 5 games after that, and he got 6 more points, so his point per game is actually a little bit higher, which bodes well for the conversation that we're going to be having as to who else Jack Hughes' season is comparable to. This year, as a 20-year-old, he scored himself a 1.14 points per game on the season, which, as we said, is finalized. He's not going to play any more games. This is already the end game right here. And so, if we go to the past 22 years of NHL action, so from 99-2000 up until 2021-2022, and we sort 20-year-old seasons by point per game, taking out the BS ones like Ryan Poehling, who had 3 points in 1 game, for example. He was actually 19 when he did that, so it doesn't really count. Jack Hughes went out there and had himself the 4th best point-per-game season out of any player at 20 years old in the National Hockey League since 2000. He had a 1.14, which is better than Stamkos and his 1.11, Malkin his 1.09, Kovalchuk, Barzal, Matthews, Kopitar, Eichel, Pastrnak, Elias Pettersson, all these guys who did their things at 20 years old. Now, some of these are a little bit unfair because Steven Stamkos, for example, actually had a 1.15 or a 1.16 point per game season at 19. He actually declined a little bit when he hit 20, but Still, Steven Stamkos is Steven Stamkos, and we all kind of recognize that earlier on in his career, he was just an unstoppable goal-scoring machine. Jack Hughes, though, is only defeated by 3 players in terms of overall points per game in regular season scoring since the 2000s. Alex Ovechkin, who in 05-06 at 20 years old had a 1.31 points per game, Connor McDavid, who in 2017-18 had a 1.32 points per game, and then you have Crosby in 08, who had a 1.36 points per game. Jack Hughes is legitimately only behind 3 of the best players of this generation's worth of hockey. Like, that sentence, man. If you want to go out there and say, oh, the games played doesn't count. Crosby had 53 games. Like, this season wasn't the best for Sidney Crosby either when it comes to overall health, and so just seeing the numbers here and seeing how Jack Hughes stacks up against the rest of what we have seen, it's kind of mind-boggling to say that, yeah, his 20-year-old season was better than Auston Matthews' 20-year-old season. His 20-year-old season was better than Pasternak's and Eichel's. If you scroll down the list here, you see some other guys that are pretty significant hockey players. Patrick Kane. Jack Hughes had a better season then, and a lot of people say that Jack Hughes is going to be the next Patrick Kane, or at least that's what people were saying about Hughes when Hughes was set to being drafted in 2019. And so what I also wanted to do was take a look at the seasons individually that Jack Hughes is behind Crosby, McDavid, and Ovechkin when they were each 20 years old. Sidney Crosby was not the healthiest, as we said. He only had 53 games played, but he was coming off an Art Ross the previous year where he had 120 points. Like, an absolute madman, dude. How can you do that? 19 years old, 120 points in 79 games played. Sid the Kid is an absolute phenom, and I don't think it's really cemented in this generation's worth of children just how good Sidney Crosby really was when he made the NHL right away. Like, don't get me wrong, Connor McDavid was phenomenal as well, but there was the entire injury with... who the heck was it? Was it Brandon Manning or something like that in his rookie year? Yeah, it got cut short by like half the games, which is why Panarin won the Calder Award back when McDavid was a rookie. Funny enough, Crosby didn't win the Calder either because some guy named Ovechkin came in the league at the same time. You also have yourselves Connor McDavid, who at 20 years old had his 108-point campaign, which also won him an Art Ross, so there you go, Connor McDavid. He doesn't do much in his first season. He gets taken out because of an injury, and then the next season he wins the Art Ross. 2 seasons, actually, he wins the Art Ross because, yeah, Connor McDavid is Connor freaking McDavid. He's on pace for 120 points this season. Like, it's tough to find things to critique Connor McDavid about because if you go out there and say anything about his game, he'll score 3 points to shut you up. Then you have Alex Ovechkin over here, who at 20 years old has had a very just unfortunate career all around, stopped up by several lockouts, stopped out by a pandemic, stopped out by a whole bunch of stuff because, like, come on, let's face it, if Alex Ovechkin played the full 82 games every season, the second he was eligible to play in the National Hockey League, he would be so much closer to defeating Gretzky for the 890-something goals in the NHL or whatever. But even with all the obstacles, he is still finding a way to trudge along and get closer every single season. His 106-point campaign in 81 games was the rookie season that he played, and he was 20 years old over there, so that's kind of what I mean when I say Ovechkin has been sort of screwed over. That was his first year in the league, and Jack Hughes is just slightly behind that with a 1.14 points per game. He had 50 goals in his first season, Alex Ovechkin did, and it's partly why he won the Calder over Sidney Crosby, who ended up winning all the stuff at the World Championships just a few months after that season ended. But either way, Jack Hughes is in some pretty great company, and as we noted, the entire list of players that he has defeated, I guess you could say, just to make things dramatic, defeated, in his 20-year-old year, no big deal, just Evgeni Malkin, that guy was kind of a bum. Auston Matthews, who cares, 50 and 50? Nah, it doesn't matter, man, 50 and 78, more like it, haha. And then you have everybody else, the memes, oh, Jack Eichel, surgery this, surgery that. Let me know in the comments all your thoughts about Jack Hughes and the finality of his 20-year-old year displaying these kinds of results. The fact that he is in this conversation with all of these elite franchise, borderline generational talents. It's great to see, is it not? Let me know in the comments all your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.